Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whoever has joined in today. Thank you so much for joining into this webinar, conducting this 3-series webinar, which talks about customizing the BIM process. The earlier 2 webinars, we did talk about how BIM is useful in small to medium companies, architecture, engineering, manufacturing, construction. Also, we have also talked about how BIM is useful in residential architecture, especially single-family residential units. And this is the last of our 3-series webinar, which is BIM for small commercial projects. Let us start with some introductions. My name is Chetna. I'm an architect by education. I worked for last 15 years with various AEC companies as BIM manager, as BIM consultant, as a project engineer, project architect. I have led multiple projects from single family residential projects to complex industrial and commercial projects. Last year in 2019, I founded BIMWise. We are a consulting and training company who provides Revit, Dynamo, Navisworks, and other BIM-related software trainings to architects, to consulting engineers, to construction companies, and to manufacturers. We have been fortunate to work with some of really complex and very demanding companies where we have designed custom trainings for them, and we continue to do so in the future. Now that you know me, I want to know something about you. And we will start with some polls in here. And our first poll is, what industry do you belong to? So let's see. I'm going to open the poll now. Let's end the poll. And the next poll is, what software do you use? Let's see what softwares do we have in here. So AutoCAD, Revit, ArchiCAD, MicroStation. Okay. The next poll is, what part of organization do you belong to? So let's see. Let's end the poll. And the size of your company. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving in your polls. Let's start talking about what are we going to cover today in this webinar. So here is our agenda. We will talk about what BIM is, definition of a small commercial project. Like when I'm talking about what's a small commercial project, exactly what it is, and benefits of BIM. We will also talk about the process of customization. When we talk about process of customization, believe me, it could be different for different companies. It could be different from your company, and it could be different for another company, and also depending on the size. What we are going to present to you is a very generic scenario, and if you want to adopt BIM in your company, it would be, or in your project, it would be very, very custom to your requirements. We will talk about the custom templates. How do we create custom templates to get the maximum benefit out of BIM? And we will also demonstrate something in a software, that how have we customized our template and our software to meet certain kind of projects. So let's start. So what is BIM? BIM is a process. It's a process in which we attach information in a 3D model in such a way that that information can be added at different stages, added for different purposes, and can also be extracted at different stages and extracted for different purposes. It starts with, when we start in pre-design process, we start with programming and conceptual design, and we keep on adding 3D information or 3D geometry into it. and data into the model. So when we are talking about a 3D model that's intelligent, that has some kind of intelligence built into it, and depending on what side of the project are we on, are we the architects, are we the engineers, are we the ones who doing documentation, are we the fabricators, are we the construction company, or are we the O&M team? Depending on what stage we are or what part of industry do we belong, we will have different uses and different definitions and different tools that we will use to achieve BIM. But the whole process of getting information and inputting and outputting information into 3D model is called building information modeling. Let's talk about different stages in BIM. So there is no real like where and how, just like a design process, that where this process will start. And it entirely depends on what part of industry you are. So I would say for an architect, it would start from design and development. For an engineer, it would start from design and analysis. For construction guys, it would start from maybe construction planning. And depending on different other roles that you or your company plays in the project, you will also be using different softwares for it. So if somebody says BIM is Revit or BIM is ArchiCAD or XYZ or Grasshopper, all these softwares, yes, these softwares, these programs are really amazing programs that help us achieve the results that we want, but they are not the entire, like that software is not BIM. Now, just like I said, depending on what role are you playing on a project, you would be defining your projects your way. But what we are talking here about is definition of a small commercial project. And what exactly is a small commercial project? In a general definition, if we see any project that involves commercial renovations, facelifts, additions, retail design, all of that comes under the category of a small commercial project. Also, any project other than this, which has a duration between 3 to 6 months and has a budget less than 1 million in total cost, would be considered a small commercial project. And it is these three basic pillars that would define that how are we looking at a project, and they will be the defining factors. How are we going to proceed with the project? But however, in no way these are the deciding factors that should we be using them on a project or not. Because just like I said, it's a process. It makes your whole process of designing and adding information and editing and revision, all of it so easy that it's no brainer to use BIM even on the smallest projects that you're working on. And before we proceed, if you are in this webinar and you're thinking that, oh, I might be adopting BIM for this purpose, I would want to know what would be your top 3 whys for adopting BIM. So let's take a poll in here and see what are your top 3 whys. So definitely improved productivity is something that we all are looking towards. Of course, if you're an architect, better visualization must be on your mind. If you're a construction manager, a pre-construction clash detection might be your touch point. If you are a project manager on the architecture or on the engineering side, a speedier project delivery would be something that you're looking for when you're looking at BIM. So of course, we do all have our reasons. We do have our own whys to use BIM on a project. Let's start with what benefits would a small project have when they are working in a BIM environment. Now, what happens is, essentially, when we are talking about BIM, we are talking about information, but we're also talking about modeling. So when we are talking about modeling, it means we are designing in 3D. If we say we are designing in 3D, it means that we can make better design decisions. We can have better understanding of how is something going to work when it's going to be built, which also means that we will have less errors on the project, which means we will not have to do a lot of rework. which ultimately results in better collaboration with consultants, with all the stakeholders on the project, which also results in having an overall better outlook of the project, which means we have increased productivity and increased profits for our projects, and we have better client relations. So just imagine that doesn't even, for me and for maybe a lot of you, it's a no-brainer to use BIM on your projects. It's no-brainer to adopt a new BIM enabling program on your projects. It does, yeah, come with learning curves. It does come with challenges of its own, but what does not? A project in itself, whenever you're doing, it does come with its share of challenges, and it does come with its share of unique things that we have to deal with, which means that we will have to, really customize the whole process in how BIM will work on my projects. Now, let's see here that if I have to customize the process of BIM for my project, or a project that's a commercial project, a project that has less than $1 million of a budget, which has a very short time span, I want to have all these benefits of BIM. So how can I customize, or maybe in this way optimize the process of BIM for me? So it starts with your project type. So even in a commercial project, what are we looking at? Are we looking at an addition to a big building? Are we looking at facelifting? Are we looking at interior retrofits? Are we looking at interior designing? We have to see what are we looking at, what kind of project it is, which means that we will all have different parts to play in it. Structural engineers, mechanical, electrical, architects, everybody will have different scope and different modeling scope and different information scope on the project. I was once working on a project, an industrial project, where literally the scope of architects was to provide a floor and provide an external envelope, and rest, the whole project had to be burdened between structural and mechanical, because it was an assembly line for a car manufacturer. So really depends that it is not always that architects have to take a lead, or structural has to take the brunt, or mechanical has the least work to do. It's not always that. Depending on the scope of the project, you have to see that what do you need to model, which means that we have to be very, very selective about our modeling. We have to be very careful of what we want to model. Do I really have to model the whole building because I have to do a small facelift on the east wing, or just modeling some part of east wing will do? We have to start asking that questions, which means that we can really optimize that process. Also, we have to look at what other consultants are doing. Let's say I'm an architect and I have to coordinate with a structural and a mechanical engineer who are not really buying into the same software that I am, who are not working on the same software that I am, which means that I have to know that this is their medium of documentation, this is their medium of modeling, and this is how I'm going to get my drawings, which will help me make a decision on an export protocol, or an import protocol, or a collaboration protocol. We have to think about all these things in this process. The next question that we might have to ask is, what are we expecting out of this? Are we just doing it because we need some drawings with measurements and annotations and details, or are we looking at schedules and quantities, and are we looking at material takeoffs? Are we looking at any kind of mechanical or structural analysis? And that will help you decide what information you want to put in your model. And with this whole process, what we can do is we can really optimize that what we want to model, how are we collaborating, and what information are we inputting. If we do that, we would be really, really successful incorporating BIM even on a small project, even on a project that does not have a lot of budget or time, and still get the maximum benefit out of BIM. What else we have to do in the customizing process is creating custom templates. Now, if you are someone who has been working with certain kind of projects for a long period of time on CAD, you kind of have some standards set. You kind of have some types of assemblies set, like your line types and line scales, and this is how my North arrow would look. this is how, what kind of doors do we use, or this is what kind of furniture do we use, or this is what kind of beams or columns or what we use. So we need to have, we will have something in place to that we are already using. We do have a library. Now what we have to do is create a template that has some commonly used content. It has some commonly used assembly types like walls and floors and doors and on all of that. And when we are doing that, we will have, literally something ready that can, once we start a project and we know what are we going to model, we really don't waste a lot of time. Another thing that we have to do is create a template with the legends, the notes, the abbreviations, all of that stuff that keeps on repeating in every project. So let's create a template that already has this, so we do not waste time in doing that work again and again. And then again, stuff like our graphical data, like line types and symbols and all of that. And once we do all of that, we also need to decide on a protocol for design options and phasing. So let's say that you are going to give your client 2 or 3 design options, or something, you're doing a construction and you need to phase the project. So you really need to have some protocols set up in your template where you have already decided that I'm doing 3 options for this project. So my option 1 will look like this, and my option 2 will look like this, and option 3 will look like this in terms of graphical information. And similarly, in phasing, so let's say you're doing a project in which you demolish certain part and you keep certain parts. So you have to really be smart in deciding in your project beforehand that my existing doors might look like this and my new doors might look like that. So all of that can be placed in a custom template, in a template that's for that kind of project. If you do certain kinds of project repeatedly, then you will have all this information, and you will have all this information that you can put an input for your own template. I could go in a lot of theory about what we do, but what I really now want to do is I want to demonstrate what these custom templates mean in terms of a software. So we will move to a software demonstration, and we use a lot of Revit in our company, and we do a lot of Revit projects. So we will start with Revit, and I will show you that this is a project that we have done in the past for a client, and where we did do the custom template for them. So if you see that we already have preset some of the annotations that they are doing, some of the wall types that they are doing. We have preset some of the line types. If I go into one of my settings in here, I can show you that we already have set up the line types. Like if I need to show a 1 hour fire rating, or if I have to show a 30 minutes fire rating, this is the line and this is the symbol that we can use for it. Similarly, I'm going to open another project, and I will show you that how we've already created the assemblies that we have created. And then those assemblies are always there in the project, and you can predetermine in your project that, okay, this is what I'm going to use, and this is how my project is going to look like. Let's see here. I have a legend that shows me that, okay, these are my wall types. I have a certain fire rating for them. I have a ULC and RSI rating for them. How does my wall look like? What does the tag look like? All of that information, or let's go to a door schedule and see that, okay, so these are the 4 kind of doors that I'm going to be using in my projects again and again. So I have those doors already in my project. Similarly, I can show you in terms of legends. So let's say we always have, this is pretty common, but we have a welcome page where you have all the information that you need, how you're naming your work sets, how you're naming your files and folders and stuff like that. But more than that, what we have in here is stuff like this. So we have already prepared a fire separation chart, and this comes with a template. So now when you already have a stuff like this in your template, you don't have to keep on doing this again and again. So one, it does save a lot of your time. It does save a lot of your efforts on the project. Plus, it makes your documentation really professional. I will show you one more example here. So this is the door detail. So the types of doors that we use. And depending on what projects you're working on, you can delete or you can add more stuff into it. But mostly what we do is that there are some fixed type of content that we use. Also, what we do is these templates, they come with certain kind of content that you always use in your project. For example, furniture. So let's say my commercial building. So a building like this. So if I have certain kind of furniture that I'm going to use and I already have it preloaded, I don't have to go waste time in looking for that kind of furniture or that kind of fixture, the plumbing fixtures. So we do get in Revit a preloaded template. It comes with preloaded templates for architecture, for structure, for mechanical, but it's really, really advisable that you create one custom template for your company, because what Autodesk will give you would be very generic, very out of the box. And when you want to use the software and you want to use the process for your projects, you will have to customize it to your needs. Here are the few things I can quickly show you when we are doing a renovation project. So let's say, for example, this project right now, it's a new construction. If I click on the wall and I go here, I say this whole project right now is a new construction. But let's say what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all instances in the entire project and I'm going to convert that into existing. Now, what I'm going to do is we are going to add a little extension in here, which means that I will demolish this wall and make this the part of the whole building. And I will rest everything stays same, just I'm extending this wall. Now, what I would do is, because this whole building, this whole external wall is an existing phase, what we'll do is I'm going to go create a new wall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, create similar, but now I want this basic wall as my new construction wall. So if you go here and click here and you go down, do you see that constructed in a new phase? Let's align this. Now, what we'll do is, because I want to, let me find the wall. Okay. So now I want to delete this wall, this window, and that's it. So what I will do is, because rest everything is in my existing construction and this wall is going to be demolished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, click, and I'm going to say phase demolished, new construction. Now, as soon as I do this, now see what's going to happen. I'm going to go create a schedule of walls. And that window is also now, it's created in existing, and we are going to demolish this new, and we are going to create this in existing and apply. Now, let's create a window schedule. And windows is new and existing. So let's go to new construction. And right now, what I just want to see is, let's say, height and level and sill height, and let's move sill below. Okay. So, okay, also I want to add into this is fields, phase created and phase demolished. Okay, so now it is because this one window that we changed, it is telling me that that window was created in an existing phase and it's demolished in a new phase, which will help us understand. And as soon as, let's say there was a mistake and I want to change it, and all these windows, so I'm going to select all my windows here, select all instances visible in view, and I want to create all of them in existing and demolished in none. And let's go to our window schedule and see that all the, one more thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this so that it becomes a little more easy. Right now we are in level 1. That's okay. So now it's showing me that what all windows have been created in existing, what all windows have been created in new, and were they demolished or were they not demolished. Let's pick up one of these windows. And what I want to do, sorry, not the new construction, let's do an existing phased. Okay, let's do it. Now, one of these windows I want to demolish in new construction and apply. And let's go and look at. So you see that because I had everything in place, I had really designed my project in a way that I have all my settings done in a template like that. It's really clicks of buttons that will make things happen for me, which will make, and just imagine that if you had, and let's say you did not have the whole building model. And you really don't want to invest time because it's just one single story extension that this building needs to be done. Believe me, you do not have to model the whole building. And if you have to do it for, let's say, building permit purposes, then anyways, you have to do it in AutoCAD too. And that's the, and if you have to do in AutoCAD and you're making that effort to put that in AutoCAD, why not do it in BIM? Because it's creating better relationship for you with the client, because you're giving client a 3D model with information. It helps you with the kind of project that you are doing. And I can show you various examples of how even a smaller project, if it's done properly in BIM, it gives you so many benefits. Okay, let's look at the door schedule that we just made. Now, what I want to do is that it is showing me a count of that I have 13 doors of certain type and 5 doors of certain type and stuff like that. What I want to show you is that, let's say I go into this and these 3x80 doors. Okay. Check it again. Let's highlight in the model, close. So it's this door that we were talking about. Now I want to replace all of these doors with another door type. And when I had a discussion with client doesn't like the door. And just imagine if that was a smaller project and you had to go and change it in the entire project and then create a schedule out of it. How difficult is it going to be for you? Rather, what I would do is that I would select all of these doors in the entire project, and I would replace them with this door. Let's choose a smaller door. Let's choose it. So we are using 3x80. Let's choose this one. So, okay. So this is, we have chosen this door. Now let's go and look at our schedule. So my schedule reflects the change automatically. Let's see this one more time. So this is my door. It's 36x80. I want to change my 36x80 door into 32x84 door. Okay, let's go to the door schedule. Now we can see that we have 12 of those doors, the 36x80, and one door I have 32x84. So just imagine when we are doing a CAD project and you're doing all of this on CAD, and there is stuff that changes on site. When you're discussing options with the client, it is so easy to change the stuff on a BIM-enabled software. Right now we are using Revit, so let's talk about Revit, rather than going in CAD and doing it. So yeah, there is an effort in the starting. There is an effort where you might have to do a little bit of modeling, you might have to do a little bit of hard work in the start, but eventually the rework and all of the iteration that happens on the project, it becomes really easy and really simple. I can show you any more options like this, and we can go on for hours and hours, but I would want, if you guys have any more questions, I can now take up the questions if you have. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. If you like this webinar and you want more content like this, do follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and YouTube. We are putting up these webinars on our YouTube channel. You can also go to our website, bimwise.com, and you can register and listen into this webinar again. We do keep on posting all these webinars on various platforms. If you like it, follow our YouTube channel or send us an email if you have a question. We will be happily answering you that question. And thank you so much for your time. Have a good one.